Reproductive justice is inseparable from food justice because it's not just about controlling women's bodies. It's about controlling the right to exist for plants, animals, and humans. But of course, it's never phrased that way. Instead, euphemisms like management, access, and protection are used to soften us to the idea that more control can actually result in more benefits. Let's start with seeds. Feminist scholar Vandana Shiva has long documented how this has played out in India. Multinational seed corporations arrived not just as colonizers, but benefactors, bringing high yield and weed resistant varieties to farmers whose traditional seeds were framed as primitive, backward, and inefficient. What actually happened was the systematic privatization of knowledge that had been developed, refined, and owned collectively by farming communities, especially women, for generations. Women were often the seed breeders, the selectors, the biodiversity conservers, doing decades of agricultural science even though it had never been formally recognized as such. But Western intellectual property law declared that knowledge to fall under a corporation's patent. The same sort of logic fuels industrial livestock production. The forced insemination, forced lactation cycle, the hormones that have chickens reach slaughter weight within 2 months, the removal of shrimp's eyes to force reproduction. That's not controlling the reproduction of animals for profit. It's management. It's the optimization of the animal's body for our collective good. When our food system has spent so long normalizing the idea that control is a form of benevolence, is it any surprise that banning sex education is framed as protecting children? And of course, restricting abortion becomes about protecting life, protecting families, protecting the vulnerable. Notice that the protection is always of something abstract, but the harm, which remains unnamed, is to someone specific. When we treat reproduction as a resource to be managed rather than a right belonging to the being itself, we've already accepted the logic that it's okay for someone else to decide what happens to another's body. That's why building sovereignty outside managed systems is such an important part of resistance. Look at the resurgence of seed libraries, free food swaps, farmers quietly sharing seed varieties outside of official channels. Look at harm reduction networks offering clean needles and information that institutions refuse to provide. They're all part of a long tradition of refusing to let knowledge and bodies be controlled. The same infrastructure exists for abortion access, such as abortion funds, mutual aid networks, and organizations like Plan C, which provides abortion pills by mail to all 50 states. Collective refusal has been happening around us for centuries, in fields, kitchens, and living rooms, and that is still available to all of us today, even if it starts as small as changing the language you use to talk about reproductive rights.